It is Thursday. You know what that means. Pals Pulls is live, and your boys are back. The gang is all here. We've got Cale,
What's new, Stinky Crew?
Marco.
Is that because I'm on the poop deck?
But that was Cale's role this week. Anyway, Tyler.
Sean beat me to a very in joke that we will not explain.
Unless he wants to.
This is no
Cale's been
secret.
sick.
I got food poisoning. Been pooping my brains out.
didn't
That
wanna
stinks
poop
over
shame you.
here.
I didn't want to.
I'm captain of the Stinky Crew.
If we named our podcast things that were like not related to, trying to get the algorithm behind us, that would be the name of the episode. The Stinky
Yeah.
Crew. So speaking of which, I'm Sean, and we've got six
Count them.
books on tap this week. Big week for releases. We've got Batman 147,
Nice.
Birds of Prey number 9.
Very nice.
Absolutely.
Ooh, that's a was that variant?
Is it
Oh,
a
that's the
variant?
A cover.
Yeah.
No, that's the main
Oh,
cover.
I've
Yeah,
been
it's the
reading
A cover.
digital, so
See,
It's also the
these are
cover you got,
Then
Marco.
Then you should know. The
skip through it.
cover?
Yeah, just scroll through. Swipe through.
That is the level. That is the level of dedication, by the way, that Marco has to what we do here. The cover, he just completely skips.
7 years we've been doing this. Marco hasn't figured out to look at the cover.
Unreal. Crocodile Black number 1. Transformers number 1, or number 8, not number 1. The One Hand number 4, and Geiger number 2, the winner of the listener pick poll this week.
Marco, that one was the B cover.
Yes.
There you go.
Okay.
The Geiger cover was indeed the B cover. Let's speak about Batman 147. I feel like it's not true, but I feel like it's been a little while since we've reviewed Batman. I think it's because I've been clamoring for this book. I'm excited about it.
It does feel like it's been a while.
You know what I think it is? I think it's that the Joker arc was coming out. I think it was weekly.
Yeah,
Got it.
Mm.
Yep.
that'll be what it is. Yep.
Yeah, so we got used to a sped up cadence there. Chip Zdarsky on the words, George Jimenez on the art, Tamu Murray on the colors, Clayton Cowles on the letters. Bruce Wayne's on the run. Bruce Wayne dipped out of Gotham, and now things are haywire. I mean, freaking Vandal Savage is the chief of the commissioner of police, which is ridiculous. But Batman, Zur-En-Arrh Batman, failsafe, is running things in Gotham. He has really put the hammer down. They're locking everybody up, and he's in full Batman mode.
They're climbing in your windows.
Yep, hide your kids, hide your wife. Batman and them are coming.
I'm so glad somebody picked it up. I didn't expect it to be Sean, but
I
I'm
got it.
so glad somebody did.
Why not? Why not me?
I won a high school battle
Oh.
of the bands with that song. So
Yeah. So this issue to me was awesome. I thought this was great. When this book feels good, it feels so good. Like when Chip is locked in, Jimenez is always on point. That's really never the question. The question is whether Jimenez is on the book or not. But when he is on the book, it's great. When Zdarsky, though, is on point as well, this is one of the best books on the stands as far as the big two are concerned.
Yeah, because even when like stuff isn't necessarily like even when it feels paint by numbers or tropey or whatever, like it still feels exciting.
Yep.
It's a little high octane, and I think that's to that combination of both the writing firing on all cylinders and the art being on all cylinders. The individual beats of Damian taking out, the people, then transitioning into the moments with Amanda Waller, they feel they feel heavy, and that feels good to like feel things of consequence.
And I think Jimenez's art really has a high octane feel to it, like you said.
Yeah.
Everything is moving. There's the exaggerated anatomy of characters in motion. I think really really works in this, and especially the way the robot body of Zur-En-Arrh looks. I think kind of really benefits from Jimenez's art throughout this.
Yeah.
I actually came around on the design fully in this issue. Now I embraced it because we're seeing it move a little more. We're seeing it in action. Now I can see that like Jimenez is taking advantage of the fact that this is not a human inside this, right?
Yep.
So there's no space for the jawline, right? Like it's all machine. And that looks pretty cool and it looks alien. It's like this page, for example, where Batman Zur-En-Arrh is working on something and its tentacles are out, and you can look at the face and it's like it just doesn't have the what's the word I'm looking for? It doesn't have there's no human in there.
Anatomy.
Yeah, exactly. It's cool, it's creepy, it's working for me.
It almost feels like it was designed specifically to avoid parts of human anatomy that would be detrimental to him performing his task. Like it's such a cold design for it. It makes sense narratively as well.
And then there's this page here where
Just looking at that one.
Failsafe is speaking with Amanda Waller, and he's standing there, and the cowl, which is, I mean, I don't even know if we even call it a cowl at this point, but it's like kind of draped across him, but it's deadly. It looks deadly. It looks edgy. Not edgy like, that kind of edgy, but the bottoms of it look like they could pierce you. Like it looks dangerous. Sharp.
Yeah.
That
Especially even that moment where he breaks into the actual the window. The feet at the bottom they're blurred, but they're blurred, but they're pointed.
Sick.
That scene in particular really got me, especially with the Amanda Waller stuff we got in that Superman, the last House of Brainiac issue.
Yeah.
It really feels like DC has lined up what they're doing for this absolute power thing, because that was kind of a nod to what the future it holds. Amanda Waller realizes that Zur-En-Arrh is making his move for absolute power over Gotham, possibly more, which we learn about later. And I like how things seem to be revving up in the DC universe as a whole, and this book does a good job at doing that. Even though I don't think Zdarsky's going to be really writing any of Absolute Power, he'll be writing the Batman stuff, but that's about it. But it also continues a story that Zdarsky's doing. So it's doing both things, which I think is hard to do, especially with event books.
Well, I think that's why Absolute Power is so exciting, because it's being set up right now. It's not an event book that's coming out of left field. It's a book that we know is coming, and we're seeing why now. We're seeing the seeds being planted now. Story is being told. This is the way event books were done when I started reading comics. So I'm all in on that. What I thought was interesting about the interaction between Waller and Failsafe is that, similar to the one she has with Brainiac, they're not aligned. So, but the marketing of Absolute Power and the conversation around it has suggested that these three are teaming up. That's the impression that's been given. But in the books at the moment, that's not the case. So I'm wondering if they're going to get to that place in the future, or if what we're going to see is Absolute Power really kind of telling siloed stories about the same sort of thing. It'll be interesting.
I think it's the former, and we just haven't gotten there yet. Because right now, especially coming with this issue and that conversation, there's this like tug and pull of where can I sort of go? How does Failsafe sort of react in light of the fact that Amanda Waller is, he says it, nothing surprises her. So she's playing, a few steps ahead. He has to match her to some degree, and she has to be able to now navigate both Brainiac and Failsafe.
I mean, their end goal is all the same though. They all want the heroes off the board. You know, Zur-En-Arrh wants it for control. Amanda Waller seems to want it for control and just out of a grudge against heroes, and Brainiac wants it to gain knowledge. You know, so I can see them teaming up, but I could also see them possibly fighting against each other, and the story is the heroes trying to prevent the collateral damage of that.
Let's
Have,
go ahead, Cale.
oh, sorry. Just before we pivot from the absolute power conversation, have you guys read the free comic book day issue yet? I think you can get them on Comixology now.
You can, yeah.
Free?
Yeah. Yeah.
Sick.
I recommend it.
Definitely gonna read them.
Yeah, I snagged it. I just haven't read it yet.
So the Bruce side of things, you know, he's on the run. And not really on the run so much as he is, you know, trying to figure out how to stop Failsafe, you know, what to do. He's trying to think, he's trying to beat his own mind as far as like, where would I go? Well, I can't go there because Failsafe knows that, right? So it's very interesting to watch him have to play a game of cat and mouse essentially against himself, and himself being the most dangerous person to play that game with. So I thought that was really interesting. And he's reminiscing, he's thinking about, you know, times past. He's thinking about his first meeting, you know, with the Flash, where the Flash shows him that, hey, I can be an ally to you. I have abilities, I have intelligences, I have resources that you don't have. You need other people. And then he thinks about Tim, and he thinks about the fact that, you know, Tim did not come to him with grace and acrobatics the way that Dick did. And he doesn't have this like traumatic past with an innate need to be you know, the Robin the way that Bruce does. But he worked hard as hell. You know, he worked hard as hell. He worked harder than everybody else to get to where he gets to. And Bruce takes inspiration from that fact. And I thought that that was a really cool way to sort of turn the story, because the way things have been, Bruce has been alienated from the family. But now he's realizing that the family is the only difference, the only leverage he can have against Failsafe. That's all there is.
And I also like how Tim is the one that steps up.
Yeah.
Well, and Zdarsky always said that his run would be a bit more Tim focused because Tim has been put on the back burner in the Bat family for so long, you know, since the New 52. So it's very refreshing to have, you know, Batman and Robin back together, you know.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of, go ahead.
Were you going to get to the Damien of it all? Because I was just about to bring it up. Okay, go ahead.
Speaking of Batman and Robin, the other side of that relationship was explored between Failsafe, Zur-En-Arrh, and Damien, who are still working together. They put together a plot to foil Amanda Waller's plot. But then Damien sort of realizes that, you know, these Amazobots are being filled with Zur-En-Arrhs, and that this is Zur-En-Arrh. And I actually felt like that was the only weak part of the book for me.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
Yep.
Okay,
agreed.
great.
Yeah. It was weird because I feel like I've been very excited for like a deeper turn, because he's like, oh, this is my father. This is truly the person he's been meant to be. And so him all of a sudden realizing that it's been Zur-En-Arrh when the rest of the Bat family has been like, dude, it's not him. And he's just kind of been a little stubborn about it. It fell a little flat for what we've been building up to and what this all means for him. And it's just like, oh my God, it didn't amount to much for me.
I don't disagree with you. I think that tracks, but I'm also glad they didn't, you know, drag that beat on. Because at a certain point, I was like, man, Damien's smarter than this, you know? So I'm glad they just pulled the trigger and just ended that. Because now Damien has a more of a personal reason to, side with his actual father.
The problem, go ahead, Cale.
I was going to say quickly, I'm also a bit confused at who knows what. Does Robin know about Zur-En-Arrh? Do they all know about Zur-En-Arrh? Who does and who doesn't? I'm very confused at what's a secret and what's not.
Everyone who needs to know it for the purposes of the plot knows it.
Yeah.
And that's frustrating.
Mm.
But the other thing was that the way that they gave us the reveal, the way that Damien comes to learn this information, doesn't actually highlight Damien's intelligence. It's like, oh hey, these are Amazobots. Oh, you're going to let them run amok, but you're taking the brains, you're taking the conscious away of these other Batmen throughout the multiverse. You're not just gonna leave them without a consciousness, are you? Oh, so you must be putting Zur-En-Arrh into these Amazobots.
Yeah. The connection wasn't there because presumably, if he doesn't know about Zur-En-Arrh, if that's like a gambit and he doesn't know, why would that be the assumption?
Right. The plot requires him to know about Zur-En-Arrh.
Right.
And then at that point, it's 2+2. It doesn't take any sleuthing to figure that out. That's obvious once you know that Zur-En-Arrh exists. And that he's a robot now. Like, your father is a robot now. Zur-En-Arrh exists, and now all of a sudden he's building a robot army. It's all common sense, and it doesn't help Damien from a storytelling standpoint to figure it out this way. I think there was probably a better way they could have done that, but it just would have required a little bit more time. I think this reveals too fast.
And is this because my thought was similar to like a Dark Knight's Metal? Are these Batman versions of Superman, Batman versions of Green Lantern, etc.?
The Amazobots?
Right. Like, is that consciousness that he's planting in them the Batman versions of those respective like heroes?
I
Do
think
you know what a Mazo is?
I don't.
I'm not jibing you here.
No, I don't. Yeah.
A Mazo is an android. He's basically the Super Skrull,
Okay.
but an android. So he's got all the powers of the Justice League.
Oh, okay.
And so now there have been several, previously, but here, Failsafe has several that are now going to have the various powers of the Justice League, and it looks like villains as well, if I'm looking at these costumes right. Or the designs. I see Sinestro in the background. But they'll be filled with Zur-En-Arrh, the Zur-En-Arrh Batman. Or the Zur-En-Arrh Batmen.
Yeah, I think you're
other...
overthinking it. I think it's just not the multiversal Batman that's also a Green Lantern. It's just whatever Batman Zur-En-Arrh could fit in there.
Yeah.
So like where previously we had seen that sort of other plane, like from those guys. Okay.
Yeah.
The dark. Yeah, I don't think it's any dark multiverse stuff. Jeez, that's so confusing to talk about.
it'll be Zur-En-Arrh Michael Keaton in one,
Sure.
and Zur-En-Arrh Dark Knight Returns in one, etc.
Okay.
Yeah, overall this was a great issue. I'm done with Capito. I don't want to see that guy anymore. The new warden, who's also the master of Bruce, who taught him how to split his brain or whatever. Done with that guy.
Can I say that, I think this was my pick of the week, but the momentum I have reading this issue and then getting to the backup is tough. Like, I come into this issue really liking it and really enjoying it, and then it screeches to a halt, and I have to read a backup that I don't really care about. Can we do the front back again? I almost rather that happen again. Just give it to me at the front and let me finish on a high note.
Give me more story. Stop giving me this backup trash. I want more story.
The problem is that they can't get Jimenez to give you more story and get this book out in a month. But they really want to give us more pages so that they can justify charging more money. So that's why we have to keep getting these things. This backup was, I mean, it's ridiculous. Like I just can't. It's Chip, it's Medel Mendonca on art, it's Aaron Angolini on colors, Clayton Cowles on the letters, and it's a story where this Capito guy is he wants to have a conversation with the Riddler, so he does, and while he's doing that, he's fighting the inmates of Arkham. He's fighting Zaz and others, and it's just like, what world is this? Like it's not that like I don't believe that Arkham is a place where you can't get away with that, because it probably is, but it's just so bizarre. Like it reads like, hey, I don't want to have these characters just standing around having a conversation. I want to show off that this Capito dude is competent physically. So I'm going to have him beating the shit out of some people while he speaks to the Riddler. Well, who should he fight? It's not like he's going to just fight random ninjas. Oh, I know. The inmates of Arkham.
Like it's not even poorly written. It's fine. But the momentum of the main story, then going to that, which is a much slower, methodical, you're trying to get into the mind of this Capito guy, it just throws me off completely.
Well, and even if it matched that, right? Like if it were a slow, methodical conversation, even in an office, like I feel like that would show how he's more of a threat. But having it, people in Gotham and in Arkham get beat up all the time. Like having him fight the comedian and Zaz is like no big deal.
And like, what's with Arkham doctors being buff at the same time? Like Hugo Strange too. Like, that doesn't always have to happen.
And was the go ahead.
You gonna tell me the Arkham Asylum people aren't gonna be buff? You're gonna go work at Arkham Asylum and you're not gonna start working out? Come on,
lift the weight or something.
Was the implication of this story that he's gonna do a Zur-En-Arrh for the Riddler?
I didn't get the impression that it was necessarily a Zur-En-Arrh, but he was going to supercharge his brain. So maybe make him smarter, make him more diluted. If that's Zur-En-Arrh, sure. Like, that makes sense.
I got the impression that he wanted to get into Arkham as his endgame because the hardest job for him would be to make these characters good. Or at least make them better than they actually are.
The villains.
The villains, yeah, the Arkham inmates, yeah. Because Capito kind of lives in that gray area. He's not quite a villain. He trained Batman and stuff like that. He's more playing games with the characters on the chessboard than anything.
He strikes me villainous. I don't know. This dude is beating the shit out of inmates in a prison for sport. That's a horrible thing to do.
That's just Rikers.
And they suck at Rikers. Yeah, this was great. I really enjoyed this issue. The art is top notch as ever, and I think that the story has picked up. The team closes out the Dark Prisons arc really well, and I think this is a fantastic lead into Absolute Power for sure.
Strong.
Oh, is this the end of the arc?
I believe so.
Was it not 3 of 3?
I thought it was 3 issues. Not quite my pick of the week, but certainly a pull.
I think I'm on the same page, but I'm not positive what my pick is yet.
Yeah,
pull. Definitely.
It's a pull, and I think it's my pick of the week. We'll see if our discussion leads elsewhere, but I think so.
Hey, we haven't done something pivotal yet. We haven't said hello to the audience yet. Hello.
We're not just doing
this. I do every time.
The 4 of us? I thought we were just talking. Are we live?
Imagine that.
Oops.
Thank you guys for hanging out with us. We really appreciate you guys showing up. We're having a fun conversation so far. I love when we get to talk about Batman, and so do you guys, because there's a lot of comments. I want to hit some of those before we move things forward. MP says, MP, I feel like shows up specifically when we review Batman. Like, I don't know, I don't remember if he's here every single week, but it's definitely when we review Batman. He said Zdarsky is really good at setting up things and paying them off, such as the Robin of Zur-En-Arrh suit appearing all the way back in the failsafe.
Wow.
I don't even remember that.
I'm very curious about the Zur-En-Arrh Robin. Has that been brought up?
Well, he says the suit, but I don't think the concept has been brought up anywhere.
Yeah.
Not that I've
So
seen.
this is just some rando.
Well, I think we're getting it now. I think this is the Zur-En-Arrh Robin.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Is there any chance that MP is actually Chip Zdarsky's burner?
I mean,
That'd be wild.
Chip is a man of many pseudonyms.
Man of many names.
He literally is. Even the name that I think he, as I understand the story correctly, he he worked for a newspaper before he blew up in comics, and I think even the name he used at the newspaper wasn't his real name.
That's right.
And MP as Chip is being like, well, I think the writer's trying to do this. And
Right.
And he
Zdarsky's
says,
so
haha,
good.
no. That's exactly what Chip would say.
Columbo says Damien got chumped out. Him being a mole for the family but getting captured and transformed by Zur would be more respectful to him. I think I agree with that, actually.
Same.
I like the angle that he was following his father because this is what he always wanted. I love that, but I don't like the fact that he doesn't come to a conclusion that this is wrong without seeing, like, what he saw was so blatantly in your face obvious bad that it's like, okay, yeah, duh, who wouldn't come to that conclusion? I sort of wish that we had seen him coming to this realization and let that sort of play out a little bit more dramatically than they did. And the way that they did it just doesn't put any heat on Damien. I think that what Columbo suggests would have done a lot more for the character.
Yeah, especially with the more recent Robin series that Williamson did. Damien has grown beyond that, I feel. So this was kind of a step back for him.
And I feel like even coming out of Gotham War, where where they were fighting with Catwoman and all, and Batman threw a hissy fit or whatever.
Our event of 2023,
Yeah. I feel like even Damien probably would have seen past it because of the events through that. Damien should be past this by now.
Atomic Hound makes a good point. Hit that like button, smash it.
Smash.
If you are enjoying the show so far, we've got a lot more books to talk about, as you know. Tyler's going to talk a little bit about some of the Blood Hunt tie-ins because there were a lot. And of course, we're going to do the stack. You guys know how we do every single week on Pals Pulls. Thank you for tuning in. If you want to support the show, the absolute best way to do that is patreon.com/thecomicspals, where we are always giving you some bang for your buck. You can get access to our newsletters. You can get access to the book club poll voting process, which right now we still need more nominations for Daredevil month. We got to make sure that we get a healthy selection of titles to choose from. And there are a lot, because there are a lot of great Daredevil books, and I know a lot of you have read them. So make sure that you are on youtube.com/thecomicspals under the community tab, or free on our Patreon page. You can just leave a comment with the Daredevil book that you want us to talk about, and it'll be entered into the nomination process.
I'm even confident that the Daredevil quality is so high that if you're even mildly curious about a Daredevil book that you haven't read and you want to nominate it, we'll read it for you.
Probably good.
Probably good.
We actually have a pretty cool announcement to make. Yes, we do. So we have a guest alert, because next week we will be. It is next week, right? I'm.
The 15th, yes.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
15,
yeah.
yeah.
We're going to be joined by Joshua Williamson.
Whoa.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. We're gonna do another round with him. We spoke to him when Duke was just dropping, I think maybe a couple weeks before it had come out or something like that. And we're gonna speak again ahead of Cobra Commander 5. And we're gonna get to talk about, all the Skybound stuff that Josh has been up to, and depending on certain factors, maybe we'll be able to get into some DC, which I really hope we can. So that's going to be next Wednesday that we're going to be having that conversation. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. If you've got questions for Josh, definitely send them our way. Hopefully we can get to them. We really don't know all of the specifics of the hows of this conversation. But if we can fit your questions in, we will certainly try to do that.
I really need to talk to him about his Haunted Mansion comic that he did for Marvel about a decade ago. So
Pressing matters.
Oh my goodness. Love it. All right. Let's get into something else that I really love, which is Birds of Prey. Birds of Prey number 9, which is written by Kelly Thompson with art by Jonathan Case and our good buddy Gavin Guidry, with colors by Jordi Belair, letters by Clayton Cowles.
he did it.
He fucking did it. Gavin Guidry did it. My man came through in a major way. For those of you who don't recall, Gavin a few months ago said it was probably only 2 months ago.
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
turnaround in comics.
Yeah, he was
Somewhat
doing it
soon.
while he was watching the show.
Yeah.
He said that just for me, just for the show, just for us, he was going
Oh,
to
snap.
draw one of the birds with half gloves.
Yep.
You guys know my love of half gloves from the Crocodile women and the way that Russell Dauterman was laying it down. Okay? And Gavin made that promise, and Gavin delivered, and I couldn't be happier.
on
not be
on
happy.
Zealot, no less, which I think worked very well, actually.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely it did. So we'll talk more about that in a few moments.
Specifically the half gloves.
Without question, we always must. So last arc ended with the birds jumping in through some portal to chase after Barbara, who, there's this belief that she's going to die in the future. So they're trying to avoid that as much as possible. And they jump into this portal and they end up in some kind of I don't even know. It's like a really dark and gothic-y kind of town. Go ahead, Tyler.
I almost thought it was Gotham by Gaslight, but we didn't stay there
Yeah,
long
so
enough for
did
me
I.
to figure that out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely gives off that vibe, and the birds get new outfits, which further that impression. And there's sort of two stories going on. There's that story, and then there's the story of Meridian and, her trying to figure out what the hell is going on in her conversation with Zealot. And that's the portion that Gavin got to handle. What'd you guys make of this issue?
It's fun. I mean, it's a good setup to the rest of, because it's supposed to be a couple issues arc. I think it was 6 when we last spoke to Kelly about this, and so it's cool that we're now in a new environment. Same kind of stakes, because it's just continuing over some of the worry from the previous arc. But I like the idea that we have this sort of competing art, or not competing, but we have this art to kind of bounce off of each other. I feel that that makes the book dynamic. The colors have typically been very bright, and in this we get 2 different palettes now, which I thought was really interesting.
Yeah.
We get this like black and this very grayed out muted palette, and then still this sort of bright, or still this sort of vibrancy with that kind of warping old effect on comics, but it's not as bright. It's a little bit more muted, and I like these visual distinctions that we're playing with now. So a strong start to this new arc.
Yeah, I think once again, Jordi Belair is the unsung hero here.
Yeah,
Like her
man.
ability to convey theme through colors and lack thereof, especially in this issue, is impressive. I think again the thing I really like about this book are the quieter character moments. There's that one beat where I think it was Barda talking to Sin, and then Megara pops up from behind, and Sin and Megara are arguing with each other. Like I really enjoy bits like that, or the bit where Cassie, that's Cassandra Cain. Recognizes that this isn't Batgirl. Tells Black Canary once, and Black Canary acts on it because there's implicit trust there. I really enjoy those character moments. Gavin's here.
Well.
Look who it
Guess
is.
who showed up in the chat? Mr. Half Glove himself.
Yes, you talk about a hero. Gavin Guidry. Let's give a round of applause for Gavin real quick. Thank you so much, Gavin, for coming to hang out with us and for doing an absolutely tremendous job with this issue.
Yeah.
You killed it, dude. Congratulations. This is a huge opportunity for you, and you did not waste it by any means. I think you knocked it out of the park. And I'm not just saying that. I am not just lavishing this praise upon you because you held up your agreement and gave us a gift, the gift of the half glove. You did it, bro. I'm so happy.
And this show is known to be honest with their opinions on people who still might listen to the show, but we talk about their books, and this is good. This is good shit. This is good shit. I think my only critique is that I wish we could have stayed in the world that we were in to kind of gain bearings for where I am. But also, as I'm saying that makes sense narratively because the characters don't gain bearings. So that jerkiness, I think, is putting us in the shoes of the character. So as I'm talking about it, I'm working it out in my head. And then seeing who's doing the art for the next issue is exciting.
Well, I think also, this is a 5-issue arc, and you got to pace it out. And so Kelly definitely needed that additional sequence to give some time, but also to continue the story with Meridian, who is a very important character here. And I have some theories about what's going on with her. But I'm very excited to see what Kelly's gonna do with her and what her real involvement in all of this is.
Did either of you read Gotham Academy when it was coming out?
I think I started it, but I didn't read the whole thing. No,
because this being maps from Gotham Academy from the future is still wild to me. I do like how it's like, oh, a young character getting some actual forward momentum in their story and plot. Interesting.
Yeah, this was fantastic, man. There were so many good moments. I really, really, really liked the way that not only Kelly but also Case handled the this isn't the real Batgirl part, because there were so many cues. Though if you look, the way that she's kind of moving, the way she's like holding her arm, her facial expressions, the questions that she's asking, the things that she's saying. She specifically says, "Oh, are your sonics working?" And it's like, okay, yeah, obviously this is not Batgirl. All of that worked so well that even though I knew that twist was coming, I was happy when it paid off because it was done the right way.
There was one bit where Batgirl says "lay of the land" twice very quickly within like 3 panels, and I was like, "That's a weird thing for a writer to do, to use that turn of phrase." And then I'm like, "That doesn't seem like Kelly." And then bam, it's because it's not actually her. I was like, "All right, cool."
It fucking worked on me. I didn't see it coming. I was like, "Oh, cool, great. Barbara's right there. I'm so glad she'll be here for the rest of the rest of the arc."
Oh man. And then when Black Canary blasts her with her, her power when she yells, look at this. This is the whole creative team working together for this panel right here. Because this panel with the colors of Jordi Belair becomes excellent, right? That's what sells this panel. when she's yelling and you can see the pinks and all the color come in to this place that up until this moment has had no color. That's brilliant. Of course, the case artwork is phenomenal, and then Kelly Thompson, designing this sequence, I would imagine, fucking incredible. This is a great comic.
Yeah, banger
lot
of
of
a
fun.
book again.
Yeah.
How dare?
Does this book, I mean, we're almost at June, so we're almost halfway through the year, which is wild. Does this book have the opportunity to make a two-peat, like a repeat, and be best book of the year 2 years in a row? I mean,
Ooh,
so far.
it's got some stiff competition this year, I think.
Fair, yeah.
But I like
Up there.
consistency wise.
Yep.
Like I've not stopped thinking about Birds of Prey.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I don't know where we're ultimately going to net out, but Birds of Prey, I really can't say that it's missed. And I'm always a little bit iffy on arcs that feature characters like dimension hopping or something like that. But at least for this first issue so far, the concept is working.
Yeah. And next issue is Robbie Rodriguez, who,
Ooh.
yeah, haven't seen him in a while, but hell yeah.
Yeah, Gavin just said buckle up for that.
Nice.
Okay.
I think this is still just shy of my pick of the week, though. Just shy. I think.
A lot of the books
think
this
I'm with
week
you.
were like at the same
I'm
level
with
for
you.
me.
Yeah, this was a
So it
hot
was-
week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
real
know
good.
what? I'm very glad we didn't read X-Men.
You didn't want a
Yeah,
stinker just to like.
Well, like I know this issue of X-Men Forever is about Mystique and Destiny, and I'm like hungry for those bits because those are the bits I like, but I know it's not gonna like satisfy me.
Well, dude, we don't even have any Marvel books on the slate this week.
Oh, I
Yeah.
noticed.
Yep.
Yeah.
I went to check for codes from you and I didn't have any, and I went, oh wait.
Didn't need to.
Yeah.
Gavin just said, "What the fuck, Sean?"
I have to pay for my books this week.
Hey, Image does right by us.
Quite a bit of work, thank you.
Oh man. By the way, make
Uh-oh.
sure if you are what? Sorry, what did I miss?
You got Gavin flipping over tables.
Wait,
Got that?
listen.
You gave him he gave you the half glove, and you're not even gonna give him the pick of the week.
Okay, all right.
Disgusting,
Okay.
Sean.
Hold on. Okay, so while it's not currently my pick of the week, what I will say, and I've never even made this distinction before, but I will make it today. On the art side of things, Birds of Prey is my pick of the week.
All right.
Cop out.
I don't know.
It is. Let's talk about Crocodile Black.
Ooh.
Boom book.
Boom.
Yes, this is by our boy PKJ, Philip Kennedy Johnson, with art by Somnath Paul and colors by Patricio Delpeche. I had absolutely no idea at all what this book was about coming into it, and I love that. I don't like to read solicits for non-Big Two books if I'm sold already on the creative team. I like going in cold and not knowing what to expect. And unfortunately, I didn't really see it much marketing for this book anyway, which surprises me a lot because it is a boom #1 and it is by PKJ. You would think that, they try to make this a big hit. But in any event, it largely follows a kid who has a problem. He has a problem of sort of not all the way knowing what's real and what's not, being sort of like dopamine obsessed. And he even has like an allowance as far as how much he's allowed to use his phone and watch movies and things like that. And that causes problems in his family. that causes problems between him and his family, the way he views himself. And then he stumbles upon this dude's house who he's delivering food to, and the guy's dead. And it ends up that the guy is like this sort of like almost like a boogeyman type of guy who people are afraid of. Someone to fear in the world. And this kid basically adopts his identity. Or at least that's what it looks like is going to happen.
Is that how you read that? I understood it as because if you reread the issue, you see all of the trappings of this kid being a killer. My assumption was he over the course of a month he's gone on a killing spree in this town, and that's where the infamy comes from. Not necessarily associated to the old guy.
Well, the cops say that they say they know the old guy.
I thought so.
That was still flashing forward, though.
Right.
The end of the book is where we are at the beginning of the book.
The unis on Wilkins are calling him this guy's the guy that everybody's scared of, just that he's a tall guy in black crocodile skin boots. I didn't connect it necessarily to the old man. I took it as he saw this body. He's like, holy shit, this is amazing. He gets his dopamine.
I gotta have these boots.
Right. His escapism now is I'm gonna become this murderer.
Huh.
Okay.
And even the cover, I think, lends to that too, because the cover has like the boots drawn in, and his whole thing is that he escapes into his art. I think that's what they allude to. So he's got this character in his head that he's becoming, and he becomes this killer. And I don't know if he's a killer of bad people or not. The people that he seems to be killing don't seem to be too great. They have guns on them. But it is
that's just America.
That is becoming like almost like a vigilante in a way. I just read that he saw this guy who's dead, and he realizes, oh, I can be this guy if I want to. Just the idea of becoming this other person. I don't think we really need to know what the guy actually did, other than that he has crocodile boots, and he is escapism, essentially.
Oh, and that's what I took the snake metaphor to be, like shedding of skin.
Yeah. Yep.
This was interesting. It had its layers. I loved the art. I thought it was creepy, muddy, in a really good way. Like it set a tone. And I never like when there's maybe this is because it's so like alien for me personally, but when it comes with like a parent that is just so angry at their child or something, I dislike
So
that in media.
blatantly passive aggressive.
Yeah, it's like what are you doing?
My man didn't grow up with immature parents.
Look at the privilege. Speaking of a happy relationship with his parents, Marco goes clubbing with his parents. Okay.
Yeah, multiple occasions.
This book really reminded me of Kill or Be Killed by Brubaker and Phillips.
Yep.
And I had a hard time shaking that. And I think for me, when a book is this similar, and there are definitely distinctions. There are certainly ways in which they are not the same book. But when a book reminds me so much of another book, especially a book that I really, really loved, I start to compare in my mind. And it's so early to be doing that. This is just the first issue. But I need to see what is going to separate this and make this something that I have to see and read. Because if it's just a guy who has escaped reality because he's, whatever, and makes the choice to do that and just starts killing people.
Yeah, it doesn't have. If that's the case, it doesn't have like a depth to it. I don't know that it's gonna have a good. I don't know you have a like good statement to make.
Sean, I was thinking the same thing actually, because even like the scribble drawing of Maddie, I guess is the character's name, reminded me of like the demon that's into Kill or Be Killed.
Yeah.
Like this weird, vaguely supernatural thing going in the background. Is it part of his mind? Is it actually happening?
You're right.
I can
He
see
sees
that.
things.
Yeah.
Are they real? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, the angle of delusion. Go ahead,
How
Cale.
long is this? Do we know?
I do not.
I feel like Amazon told me it was 2 issues. That can't be right,
No.
right?
No.
Don't trust Amazon. Amazon's never right about that. Yeah, I think
Oh,
Amazon only
okay, thank
knows
God.
what's been solicited so far. I think you would need to read the actual solicits to see that, but I don't see anything saying how long this is.
Yeah. What did you guys think about the time setting, like a post,
I was gonna
right
bring that
before
up.
pandemic? I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, I'm intrigued by the ability to tell stories in the pandemic in the past sense. Not that like it doesn't still happen, like it still exists. There's still variants out there, but we can tell stories about that experience and how that affected us now. It's at least the putting ourselves in the shoes of 2020, 2021. We can look back on that and dissect that a bit. I thought that was interesting. I think the Somnal Path, I think is his full name, but Somnath Pal, Star Wars-esque name. But I thought the art was very good in that. I was excited to see that it was not similar to the cover art. They got some Sorrentino cover art there. I'm always annoyed when the interior art is wildly different than the cover art. But in this sense, it was better in my opinion. So I was excited to see that.
So supposedly this is one of 5, according
That's
to
right. Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
that makes more sense.
Yeah, yeah. I
Sure.
mean, I'm interested to see if how that plays into anything, because it didn't feel like it was necessarily because of the pandemic. He's just choosing that as a setting, whereas the disappearance of the brother might have maybe triggered a thing, if at all. But we don't really get enough information to figure that out.
Well, I think one of the things with the pandemic that came up is that, and we have a lot of conversations in the world about anonymity in a post-internet age, and then COVID presented not an opportunity, but a reality to where the face, which is, the most physically defining characteristic of a person, is obscured. So behind the mask, you could be the hottest person that lives, right? Like I look tremendous when you can't see when this is all you can see. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
Like that idea, right? And then you take that a step further, and it's like behind this mask, you don't know anything about me at all. I could lie to you about me entirely. And Philip Kennedy Johnson takes that concept and then tethers it to the idea of a person who needs to escape reality, because of a mental condition or because of trauma or whatever reason, and puts those two things together. And I think that's a great match. And I like the fact that it deals with COVID because I've never read a comic book that included that on any level. So I'm intrigued by all of that. And I think that the talent involved can generate a comic book when it's all said and done that I will really like. But as far as issue 1s go, this didn't ignite me like I would have liked.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree.
So, Paul,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah. Plus, it
I
was
thought
on
it
the
was
omnibus
good.
app for me, so.
I'm still in to see where it goes. I want to see what the deal with these magic shoes is.
The squeaky boots.
it's funny.
This is how I would have been if they had my size of Lightning McQueen Crocs when I was at the Croc store earlier today. But
Lightning McQueen Crocs.
yeah, that would have been my crocodile boots.
Right on. Hey, Gavin, if you are still here, look, I will give you pick of the week. I will do it. If that's what you want, I will say Birds of Prey was my pick of the week because it's very close. The thing is that if you hear the conversation about the book that I'm thinking is my pick of the week, you might think it's your pick of the week. So we'll see. That's the thing. I often get convinced by the conversations we have. And the Birds of Prey book and the conversation was pretty convincing. But there's another book on our stack that I just It's pretty good. It was pretty good.
And Gavin's still here because yes, Gavin, there are Crocs stores. So
Oh yeah, it's a big one.
Let's get into Transformers number 8. This is written by Daniel Warren Johnson with art by George Corona, colors by Mike
George
Spicer,
Corona.
and letters by Russ Wooten. The Transformers are licking their wounds a little bit. Both sides, the Transformers and the Decepticons, are licking their wounds a little bit. The Decepticons have new leadership, and we're sort of seeing, new boss, same as the old boss, pretty much. Nothing has really changed. They're still killing humans and doing awful things. Daniel Warren Johnson tries to dig in a little bit more and do some character work throughout this issue. I think there's a little bit less of the fighty bits. There's no Optimus Prime doing a wrestling move, for example. Although he does have a cool, arm cannon still. But this was certainly a slower issue of Transformers. I enjoyed it. I think it's solid for sure. But despite all of that, I just feel like my time with this book is past. Like I think it's over. Like I have had my fun. I don't know. I feel like I don't come to this conclusion with books too frequently. Normally, if I like something, I want to get it as often as I can until it's over, till there is no more. But with this, I think I just kind of had my fun. It was good. Tight 6 issues, and that's it.
which is saying something because we know what your stack is like. There's books on there you haven't opened up in a while.
Well, I mean, he may say he's done, but it doesn't mean he's gonna stop buying it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah. If we stop
You
doing
know.
this for the show, are you still buying it? Is the question. But
I'm at the point where if the audience didn't want this book reviewed, I wouldn't buy it.
Hmm.
interesting.
It's not that I don't like it. I enjoy it. It's very good.
The moment where I felt that for me, Sean, was where they finished overtaking the tanker. Where it's just like I don't know that I feel for the things that are going on. I don't know that I care for the wants and desires of either the Decepticons or the Autobots at the moment. It feels loose to me, and it has that hasn't made me feel confident in where I can be grounded, like where the story can go. Not that I don't trust Danny Warren Johnson, but I don't know that he's done a good enough job to keep me on the rope.
See, I really like this issue because it was one of the more slower issues, like Sean said. I like how it really paints the Decepticons and the Autobots as kind of black and white, but then it throws Carly into the mix, who's a human whose family was essentially killed by Decepticons. And she is so on the side of good, but she wants to do bad things to stop the Decepticons. So, and then it's them having to deal with that, which she's a bit of a gray area in this world that's technically black and white. And RC is there to kind of control things. I like that. I like the weird stuff that's going on with Optimus, that he has. Is his name Spike? What's his name again? The kid?
Spike.
Spike, yeah.
Spike, yeah. Very Transformers name for a human. But he has his dad's memories, so I don't know where that's going. That could be very interesting, and Optimus doesn't really understand what's going on. And I think the whole Soundwave stuff is interesting too, and it introduces probably my favorite Decepticon at the end here. So, yeah, I'm still digging this book.
Yeah, I'm gonna speak up for Soundwave a bit here. So I did some digging into Transformers lore, and I said with the last issue that I think this Soundwave sort of overtaking Starscream feels hot and revolutionary. Apparently, it's not.
Oh,
Apparently, it's wildly not. So I was speaking to long time listeners might remember my friend Nori Miller, who came on in like episode 3 or something of the show. He's a big Transformers fan, and so I went to him about Soundwave, And yeah, this is a long-standing thing. I think my issue here is, we've seen a lot of just indiscriminate killing by the Decepticons, especially while it was under Starscream. Here, Soundwave really makes the point that, it sucks that we have to kill these people, but it's got to be done. And so he does it. And it sort of like he doesn't do it out of bloodlust or whatever, but it still doesn't quite it doesn't feel different enough from stuff we've already seen. It's still just wanton death.
I think the thing that's catching me about this book is just the fact that I feel like the same things are just going to happen all the time. I don't actually really have any degree of confidence that something meaningfully different is going to happen in any issue. And that's no discredit to Daniel Warren Johnson or anybody involved. It's not anything like that. It's just that you're limited. It's Transformers. And there are bosses and masters, just like there would be at Marvel or DC. And when you Cale mentioned lore, like Soundwave overtakes, Starscream, or Soundwave overtakes Megatron, or Starscream overtakes Megatron, or Megatron is MIA and now he's back. I'm sure all those things have happened 50 million times. I saw the first 3 Transformers movies, and all these beats happened in those movies. So I'm just kind of like, all right. And then when a new character debuts, right? Like Tyler said, they debuted one of his favorite Decepticons. It's like, hey, so and so's here. Freight Train is here. Oh, okay.
It's a little.
I don't know who the fuck that is.
Berries.
Like, I didn't grow up watching this, so that character coming out has no meaning to me at all.
And that's not who I was even talking about. I don't know who the hell Hypno Train is, or what is Astro Train. That's what his name was.
Oh, Hypno Train's not bad.
Hypno Train sounds cool. I was talking about a shockwave at the end with the whole talking to Cybertron. Like, there's that whole bit that's still going on. Like, the Cybertron war is still happening, just galaxies away. So
yeah,
I'm hoping that the Carly stuff and Soundwave being a little less bloodlusty introduces more of a grayness to what seems like a real binary between Decepticons and Autobots. But I can see your take completely, Sean. Yeah.
Yeah. What?
So some of that gray is also exemplified in Jetfire. I felt for that moment.
Dude,
Like
yeah.
that was the one thing where I was like, oh shit. Like, he's the moment where he's just like, it's so dark. I can't like please stay with me. And then you realize also that Optimists, they're fighting a war. I think there's something there that can be poignant that Daniel Warren Johnson can kind of latch onto that can hook me in, but he's not having those conversations where, as much as they tortured what was it, the Decepticon in order to get his spark, but now Optimus is using Jetfire. He's kept him alive in this poor state just for transportation purposes, just so that the war can go on. And that is neither, to me, that is cruel to Jetfire's end. And sure, he has the sympathy to be able to sit with him for a little bit, but it almost made that distinction between who's good or bad just fall kind of flat. And I like that though.
I agree. That's a good bit to point out. I think one of the issues that the writing is having here is that DWJ is traditionally a set series writer. Usually has 12 issues, 6 issues. The fact that this is an ongoing, I'm wondering if it's a little tricky to know where to put those beats, because there is no definitive end to the story that I know of. So not having that structure, I'm wondering if that's where we're seeing that limitation show up. But yeah.
I think that's that beat that you guys are talking about is something I would have liked to have seen juxtaposed way earlier.
Yep.
You
Yep.
know, alongside maybe that deer moment where he looks down at the deer, from issue 2 or whatever that he stepped on, and he's like, oh man. And then he goes and stares off at the sunset or whatever. Like, as much as Optimus is willing to put himself on the line and do all these things, like, he also has to make these choices where he knows he's a failure because he has to make these choices. And I don't feel like in the first 6 that was quite, exemplified enough.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. I think I've said it before. I'll say it again. I think this is a great book for a Transformers fan, and even a non-Transformers fan. Like, you should absolutely make your own mind up about this book. But for me, I'm past it. Uncaged said my impressions online was some segment of the discourse was all in for Energon, and another segment that was like, I think I'm out on this thing. Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's all building right now as far as like the wider Energon universe. I wouldn't say I'm out on it at all. I just need to see, because so far the connections between Transformers and GI Joe have been done in ways that I thought were pretty cool. Like the fact that Duke was a fighter pilot who saw another fighter pilot transform and killed one of his friends. That was sick. That was incredible. And I love the way that they did that. I'm definitely looking for more of the cross pollination to figure out how the Energon universe is going to come together. But for now, it's still pretty intriguing.
Hmm.
I
I
think.
think that.
Go ahead.
Oh, please, please, please.
I was just going to say, I think at this particular moment in time, my favorite of the books is Void Rivals. Actually,
Hmm.
The one without
That
any name recognition. Interesting.
that Transformers reveal in that was top notch to me.
That was cool.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna give this to the end of this arc before I decide if I'm in or out. Because I think I'm leaning toward where Sean is, but I can definitely see I can definitely see myself sort of going, okay, these guys are starting to look all the same. Thundercracker, that cracker looks the same as every other one. Okay.
that's the other problem I'm having too. It's
Yeah.
just like they're all, big mech robots, not mechs, but big robots. Like, I get it. Um, I'm gonna put Transformers 9 in the poll.
Yep.
And if you guys want it, then we will keep reviewing these books. And I solemnly swear that I will no longer say that I'm out on this series if we have to review it again. But if you guys want it, we'll do it. For me personally, this is a pass. I liked it a lot. It's a really good issue. The pieces are all there. I'm just done. But for anybody else who doesn't have that feeling, certainly, everybody involved is doing great work.
Hmm. It's pull for me. I'm still in. I think moves are being made here.
Yeah. Pull as well. I think I'll join you, Kale. Probably like end of the arc to see what's up. Because if it's more of the same, I don't know how long I can stand that.
Dan Trudeau says, I haven't been interested in this despite early raves because I always thought the concept was too limited. I thought maybe they'd crack the code, but Sean's feedback validates my initial idea. Well, I certainly don't want to preclude anyone from buying something that they might be interested in, although it sounds like you're not that interested anyway. I do think the first 6 issues, are pretty strong, although I was kind of starting to lose it in the halfway point of that. Just because I do think the concept is limited. And maybe it works for me personally as a bigger blockbuster type of affair, like a movie type of thing where I can really feel the scale of them.
Or even a TV show,
Yeah. Yeah.
where
For
stuff
sure.
has to happen every episode, or the kids aren't gonna watch.
Has this book made you interested in revisiting some of the lore around it? Because I was not a big Transformers fan before this in the Energon universe, but like talking to Danny Warren Johnson, talking to Williamson, talking to Tom Riley, I'm kind of interested in Transformers?
Nope.
Not particularly. No.
So
Unfortunately.
I've tried before, and I've heard the IDW stuff is it's that deep, like 20-year run that so much happens, and stuff gets insane. I tried to look up Nori's recommendation of a story called The Last Stand of the Wreckers. And it's out of print, and the cheapest book I could find was $250.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Bro.
So I'm not that interested.
um
Yeah, love Beast Wars. Gavin says, I've
Hell
never
yeah.
been interested in I
G1.
guess it's G.I. Joe, yeah. G1?
G1. G1 is a generation of Transformers.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. I loved Beast Wars growing up, though. Yeah, same.
That was
That's
a
where my
Beast
love
Wars
is.
head.
Yep.
Yep.
Beast Wars was awesome.
I had a
Where's
Rat
that
Trap
book?
action figure. Love Rat Trap.
Yeah, Cheetor, dog.
Hell yeah, had all that. And Columbo says George Corona is so good though, man. Yeah, he is.
George Corona.
yeah.
He's great. He's doing great work in this series. Yeah, certainly wouldn't want to undercut his efforts because he's doing a great job.
Incredible. Yeah, incredible work.
Like, it's hard to follow up on Daniel Warren Johnson from an art standpoint. That's a very difficult task. And I think that whoever got that job was going to be, critiqued because you're coming off of DWJ. But I think that Corona has lived up to it. In some ways, you could even argue that it's a little bit more of a fit.
That's what I was going to say. I would say I almost think Corona is more suited for this than Danny Warren Johnson.
I also think having Daniel Warren Johnson on just writing opens him up a little bit more, Like, he doesn't have to put his whole ass in either side, or both sides, I mean, like in the first part. I feel like he's going whole hog here in the writing, and so stuff can move. Because it does feel like stuff is moving. It's just kind of whether or not you're into it is the thing.
I think my only critique of the Corona art though is the volume of panels. For as big as these characters are, the number of panels included on a page makes, I think, works well for pacing, but hampers our perspective of each of the individual characters, and that's been something I think has kind of been prevalent throughout the series, and he continues that. And for me, I feel like it's that's why in some of these instances I don't know who these characters are, because you could be looking at a panel of Soundwave, but actually the next one just slightly off color, and maybe like a lighter blue or a different purple is another one, but in a smaller square, so it's hard to distinguish at that point.
Dude, the page where they break out that one Decepticon, I had to go over that like 3 or 4 times to figure out who was hitting who. I was so lost with that. Yeah.
And that makes me wonder if like I said, Transformers has this lore, and it's a property that's existed as a comic for 20, 30 years. But does it work?
People just love this shit, man.
I mean, I'm tapped in onto the toy side of things too, and people kill for Transformers action figures. The movies do well. There's a cartoon one coming out.
But that's my point. Like, I'm not saying the property doesn't work. I think it works as something that maybe you can't look at still images of.
I don't know if I say that like as an objective truth, but I can certainly say that it's something that I only find that I need in small doses. Maybe there will be another time in the future where, the plot will have advanced enough that shit is actually happening, and I'll come back and be like, "Oh my God, wow, I can't believe how cool this is." But as of right now, I got my Transformers fix, and I'm good. I'm settled.
Yeah.
All right. let's move forward. And let me remind you to subscribe. If you are not subscribed to our channel, hit the subscribe button. That helps us out a ton. Uh, go a step further, hit the notification bell so that you are made aware of when our videos and lives drop. One thing that I realize is that sometimes you might not even know when our stuff is out because YouTube doesn't do a tremendous job of getting things out to the feed for subscribers. So hitting the notification bell is what ensures that you are always connected with us. And of course, following our schedule because our schedule is completely locked in. We very rarely make a change. And if we do, we let you know every Thursday at 6 p.m. for Palace Pools, and then it is living live and on all platforms after that. And then Saturdays at 10:15 a.m. Eastern and living live on all platforms after that. So make sure you guys are connected and tapped in with us as much as you can be. If you like what we do, let's roll right on into The One Hand, number 4. Written by Ram V with art by Lawrence Campbell and colors by Lee Lowridge. This issue follows Ari even further after that crazy finale to the prior issue of the Six Fingers. And now Ari is a man on the run. He's a man on the run because he stuck his nose where it didn't belong. He didn't heed his superior's orders to stay the hell away from all of this. And he stepped in it. But as he stepped in it, and as things have gotten worse for him than ever, he's closer to the truth than ever. And we start to get more information, and we also have some more questions. And what I think manages to be, you know, at least in the conversation for best issue of this series yet. Somehow this creative team continues to up the ante, and we talked about best books of the year. As it stands right now, The One Hand is at least in my top 5 books of the year so far.
Definitely.
This shit is insane.
Yeah.
Ram V has found another level. He found another level because this is Ram V taking a genre, taking a couple of different ideas that are well worn and lending himself to them in a way that only Ram V can, that elevates the material. Because there are lots of noir stories. There are lots of stories that have, robots in them, androids, murder mysteries, whatever. This has all of that, but it also has the skill of a creative team that understands what works about those genres and how to take them to another level. Look at the pieces of this book where Ari is walking through the city, or when it's those establishing shots of the city. Yep. That shit's crazy. It reminded me of the first time that I really watched The Matrix, and you see how the Matrix view, the ones and O's, the straight green lines, how that's compared to the rain inside of the Matrix. And you go, oh shit, that's really cool. And so I had the same moment when I'm reading The One Hand, and I want to pull up an example. It's not this exact page, but it's a similar page as this, where they're showing the buildings and they're showing the cityscapes, and you can see the One Hand 6-finger designs in the windows. This shit's everywhere.
You just clocking onto that now?
No.
Okay.
What do you mean? I'm pointing out how fucking cool it is.
Yeah.
That it's all over the place. Yeah. And I think the more that this series progresses and the crazier that shit gets, the more prevalent all of that is, because things are unraveling.
Yeah.
God damn, this is good.
This was pick of the week.
This is why. This is what I was saying.
Yeah. This, I think, both the 6-hand and the 1-hand, whenever it's out in a given week, I think has been six fingers, sorry, has been the book of the week. My pick.
Yep.
Dude, it's crazy. It's crazy. I can't get enough. The conversation that he has with Helen, where it's like, do you know what she's, it's this really well written conversation, and Ari asks her, do you know who you are? Do you know what you are? And she gives him this like kind of knowing kiss or whatever.
Yes, dude.
And she's like, Ari, do you know what you are?
Yeah.
And it's like, and I've had the theory the entire time that he's a robot. But if you don't think that, if you haven't thought that, look at the way my man jumps out the fucking window.
Yes, yes.
My knees can't do that at 31.
Your knees wouldn't be able to do that at any point in your life.
17, I was pretty good.
What I that's the exact page, Sean. I was reading this on the train, and I sat there for a second just staring at it, and I looked up. I'm like, nobody knows what I'm reading right now, but God, I want some kind of validation. So good. And I like that then he kind of proves it with that jump. But then my thought was, has he always known to some degree? And how does that then connect to the or how will that now connect now that we have a better understanding to the six fingers?
Yeah, I mean it's very difficult to say, but I personally think that a lot of the characters that we are interacting and engaging with are not real people.
Hmm.
And it's possible that none of this is fully authentic in the sense that it's all happening, but maybe nobody here is real. What about that theory? I care so much now though to find out the answers. There's a way that the story's presented in the one hand that for some reason, and maybe it's just Rom, maybe it's just he's just so damn good, but I'm hooked. Whereas the Six Fingers is sort of frustrating to me at times. This book is just it's just paced so well, and Rom is a master.
I view the one hand as the noir crime book, and Six Fingers is the thriller, but they're accompanying each other.
Yeah.
This shit is thrilling. This is the thriller.
Well, I agree, but I think in terms of genre, the Six Fingers is a little more like there's a lot more running around and action and doing things, where this is a little more methodical and it's him really reacting to things that have already happened. Not to say one is better than the other. I don't know if there is, but I thought this was good. This was good. I don't know if it was my favorite issue of One Hand though. For me, I feel like it might be showing its hand a little too much. It's showing its one hand a little too much. I think it just lends, evidence to my theory that this is the city's antibodies working. That all these people are really just parts of the DNA of the city. And the city is the character. Like the fact that there's so many city shots, it's like, all right, we get it. It's like New York City's a character in any movie that New York City is set in. So I'm curious to see if that is confirmed. But I thought the most recent issues of the Six Fingers was a little more my taste. I thought this one was, I don't know. I don't know how to express my feelings about this one. I just didn't like it as much as I like the other issues, and I'm not entirely sure why.
There's a lot of buildup in this one, and sort of a lot of explaining what just happened.
It's a little too much edging for me. Yeah.
Well, but I think this is a book that really needs it. This both of these series, this umbrella series is like I think one issue something cool happens, and then the next issue we've got to kind of take the time to explain it. And I think when you take the two genre perspectives, I think they play with each other really, really well. And I think when we haven't necessarily liked one, I think that tends to be why. And I personally, and I think, Sean, you and I are on the same page with this, I think Rom speaks a little bit more to my sensibilities in making it play in the noir murder mystery aspect, because it's methodical, it's drawn out, and it's laying out the pieces in that mystery way. it's Columbo putting the thing, oh, and just one more thing, you know.
And it's also just these conversations that are so well written, that are dripping with
Yeah.
subtext, that have that are just have layers to them. That is just where my heart is at when it comes
Yep.
to stories, and I love that shit.
Yep.
Now, if I can just point out my favorite conversation in this book, and all week in comics, it's the conversation that Ari has with his buddy that gives him the gun. And Ari says, sometimes you can take a thing apart, change all its parts, and put it back together again. It's easy then to wonder if the object you hold in your hand is still the same one you started with. So what that is, what he is explaining, is a concept in philosophy called the ship of Theseus. And it's this idea that if you take a piece of something off it, does that piece that you removed from it remove the idea of the thing from being the thing? And how many pieces can you take away from something until it starts to become something else? If you take the pieces of a ship, right, and you take them all apart, and then you build a ship again with those exact same pieces, is it still the same ship? That's sort of what he's explaining here. And I love that idea. How much of, if I take your heart out of you and I give you a heart transplant, does that change who you are? This book seems to be playing with that concept through the androids, through these robotic people. Helen isn't the same person that she was, but it's the same body. The personality might be completely different, but the body is the same. Is that still Ari's love?
And that whole discussion about God, I can't pronounce it, Nimue, but the goddess of memory, it kind of goes hand in hand, one hand and the other hand, where the idea of memory and memory transcending bodies fits right in with that theory.
Also, the idea of memory being you. Your memories make you up. So if you don't have your memories anymore, you also don't have the things that make you up. So who are you?
But then there's also the added complexity of where Helen, now there are some things, because she brings up Nemone, right, and how she's been thinking on that thing because that has affected her. So there is some sort of connection between the physical and the consciousness there, because somehow there's like a muscle memory associated to that to some degree, but it doesn't go fully one way or the other on this. It just presents you with a couple scenarios and with the concept again. So I thought that was a really cool way to just talk about all of it.
And there's only one more issue of this, right?
Yeah, I thought it was 2.
I think it's 6.
Because the end of the book says to be concluded, so I wasn't sure if the next
so I
issue
guess
was
it's 5.
Oh shit.
That's a well. Damn it.
Okay. Well, I'm looking forward to the end then, I guess.
Huh. Mine does not say that.
Mine doesn't either.
Oh yeah, it does.
Where does yours say that?
in
On
red text. I
on the
remember.
last page.
Yeah.
Where the language of God's page.
Yeah,
Mine,
to be concluded.
yeah, it does have that.
At the bottom,
oh, wow, so the type is so small.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm looking at the solicit. It says miniseries finale. Yeah.
All right.
Oh shit. Okay.
All right.
So we have 3 issues to go.
One other thing that I wanted to call out from an art standpoint was only with, and I don't know if this is true for all, but for certain characters, like when he's talking to Helen, and when he is talking to Johann, do the panels themselves become the shapes of the the language? So
Oh my god, dude, that's fucking amazing. Oh my god.
And so I wonder if that also means that Johann, right? Because we've had that theory also. Helen, we've had that, but then it toys a little bit with the artist lady.
Yeah.
but it doesn't fully commit to it sometimes. So I don't always know. But definitely when it comes to the cog moments where two cogs are interacting, that happens.
Oh, dude, you might be a fucking genius.
Well, he's a cog,
Yeah.
so he would know this.
That's right. That's
Wow.
right. Yeah. How
Nice.
many times do you do you update my firmware before I am no longer the Marco you once knew?
It's funny. Marco came over to the brewery I did trivia at last weekend, and he asked for oil. What is? It's weird.
Not that Mazzola oil. You need that good car oil.
And on the subject of the Campbell art, this is shot. This is the well, yeah, the
It's
angles
framed.
and the shots, the framing that Campbell chooses, whether it's his organic choice or it's in combination with Rom V's script, it's always right. It's always very crisp, and it gives this. I mean, it gives the exact right feeling. Like, look at this panel where Ari is pointing the gun. That is the absolute perfect angle. It kind of it's. Oh my goodness, this is such good stuff. It really is.
Oh, Sean, that page, the one where it transitions to the city. That's one of the examples there of the city itself kind of having the whatchamacallit.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, in the buildings.
Amazing. Also, this is random, but what's up with this guy's? Is this? I don't know if this matters at all, but look at that tattoo that guy has. Is that a tattoo?
I
Yo,
couldn't quit looking at that when I came across that too.
Don't judge
What's up
people's
with that?
tattoos. It's just it's a personal choice, Sean. You don't need to.
That was Ari, right?
I'm pretty sure it was Ari.
I
Yeah.
think so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was Ari. With the glasses?
Yeah. That is Ari. What the hell?
Ooh, I wonder if we go back, if that changes at all.
I don't remember him being shirtless too many times outside of the Robo brothel.
Yeah. I don't know if we saw it then though.
That's what I mean.
This book is great. I highly recommend it. It's my pick of the week. I think that when collected, these books together will read really well. And this has been an excellent ride. I wish there was going to be more, but I think 5 is a good, solid number to get in, do your shit, and get out. I think that's strong.
Technically 10 though, right? Because like it's with both of them. I mean, you can't read one without the other necessarily.
I think you can, but it just enhances it if you don't. I mean, if you do read them together.
Right, right.
I would love to hear from someone who's only reading one of these bad boys, which would be weird to do, but if you only care, say, for Rob V or Dan Waters, or maybe you only care for Lawrence Campbell, whatever it is, I would love to hear from a person like that. But yeah, amazing, incredible series that you should be reading.
Yeah. Pick of the week.
Yes.
I can't do it. Got to be
Is
the
that
pick of the week.
is that unanimous?
No, I think I had mine as Batman, but after our discussion, I want to say Birds of Prey. I don't know. It was between those two. I was a DC guy this week.
I just like this one's again. These books are working on another level, and I like Birds of Prey, and I really like Batman, but it's just like, yeah, I
God
mean,
damn.
this is edge of your seat.
Mm.
Michael Douglas '90s thriller murder
Yes.
mystery shit. Like,
Yes, say it, Cale.
this is that type of we're gonna see Michael Douglas get horny and ruin his life type of movie.
Like when he gets mouth cancer?
Yeah,
Oh.
that's a whole genre of movies. You're a film guy, you know that.
Michael Douglas gets mouth cancer movies?
Well, no, he gets horny and then he
All right,
ruins his
Got
life.
it, got it. Okay, all right. Yeah, that's very true. Yeah.
Lean in comics.
Let's do some lean in podcasting and move on and talk about Geiger number 2. Geiger number 2 is the winner of the listener pick poll, which of course we always encourage you guys to vote in. It won the poll pretty convincingly. And we were asking you guys, do you want us to continue on with this book? And you guys gave us a resounding yes. So of course, Ghost Machine, we love Ghost Machine. So glad to hear that you guys do as well. Now, before we get into the review of the book, I do want to highlight this week's poll because it is up. It goes up every single Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern on youtube.com/the Comics Pals under the community tab. And it's another interesting week, I think, for comics. So
Kind of vote.
we've got Napalm Lullaby number 3 on the poll. That's sitting at 15%. That's the new Rick Remender book. So that we have that. We have Amazing Spider-Man Blood Hunt number 1. I wanted to know, do you guys want us to check out some of these Blood Hunt tie-ins? So we threw Spider-Man in there. Right now, that's got 20% of the vote. XO Manowar Invictus number 1. We have never, to my recollection, well, we did read Bloodshot. We read one Bloodshot book by Dennis Camp, I believe. But other than that, we've never read a Valiant book. So this would only be the second one. So I threw it on there to see if you guys want us to give Valiant a shot. So far, it's got 23% of the vote. But rounding out the 4 and dominating the poll to this point is X-Men Forever number 4, which I am very surprised by.
X-Men Forever 3 wasn't even that close in this week's poll, from what I remember.
No,
was it runner up? Well, I mean, I think Geiger had like 48, 49%. So
yeah, Geiger ran away with it. Forever was the runner up.
I think I've got to vote for X-Men. I think it's like with our completionist run here. I think like I feel icky. Like I'm glad we didn't do it, but I feel icky having not done it. So I gotta vote for X-Men.
I voted for Exo Manowar, but I'm probably gonna end up changing my pick at some point here.
You want something with an X in it? It's right there.
I want something with Jean Grey in it.
I can't help you.
I've
X-Men
always hated
Forever,
Exo Manowar's costume. I'm sorry. I think it looks ugly. I don't like Exo Manowar as a character.
Fair enough. We'll leave it to the listeners. You guys get your vote on. Make sure you vote. You have until Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern to vote. So get right on that. And we're going to get on this Geiger review. Jeff Johns and Gary Frank, writer and artist respectively, with Brad Anderson on colors and Rob Lee on letters, both of which were just officially made exclusive partners to Ghost Machine. So hats off to them. Cries, tears for the rest of the industry who now no longer have access to these two talents, especially DC.
Especially Brad Anderson did a lot of work with DC.
Yeah. And by the way, colorists and letterers that are that good don't grow on trees. They're hard to find. These people get a lot of work. We read the same names off every week. There are only about 5 of them.
Yep.
And so when you take them out of the pool this way, in such a definitive way, that's definitely going to have an effect. But it also opens doors and makes space for other talent. On to the subject of Geiger. This is more of Tariq Geiger and the Nuclear Knight, walking around. They end up in a town. They've got a mission. They need to stop a criminal from the town. And in exchange, they'll get some information about a guy who allegedly has been cured of the same problem that Geiger is having, the same affliction. And that's largely the issue. So I'm gonna kick things off because I enjoyed the hell out of the first Geiger mini. I really, really loved it. And I've largely enjoyed everything that's come since that's been Geiger related. And I was super looking forward to a Geiger ongoing. I think probably more than even Rook or anything else that was announced for Ghost Machine, just because I love this character and everything that's been built. But I think what I'm finding right now in this, now that it's an ongoing, it just feels like it doesn't have any momentum. And it has started off for me pretty cold across the first 2 issues. Gary Frank on art is a revelation. This double page spread, I had my jaw on the floor for this, where he's, Geiger is launching into his attack. He's put on his powers. He's got the, he's brandishing his billy clubs, and he's, on this train attacking this marauder. That was cool as hell. And, Gary Frank, undefeated, best artist in comics for my money. But I just don't feel it. I just don't feel it. I'm not connected to what's happening right now that deeply. And I like what the seeds that are being planted, and I see there's good stuff, but the momentum is just not there right now.
I'm with you, Sean. I felt how, like, reading this, I was like, oh yeah, this is an ongoing, because it feels very episodic, where the previous stuff felt like an epic, if that makes sense. Similar to what I was talking about Danny Warren Johnson on Transformers. Typically, he would write set beginning and ending stories. That's what Geiger was before, and that's what it felt like before. It felt like we were building to something. This feels like just another episode of Geiger. And I'm not sure that was a bad thing for me. It is a different thing for me. This feels a lot like... I talked about how I felt the video gamification that was Rook, and I kind of felt it here too. This felt like we were off on a Fallout or a Red Dead Redemption side quest. And I don't mean that as a derogatory thing. But I can see how it's like, all right, this issue is going to be this story. This issue is going to be that story. But they're going to have a thread in between them, and we build up to something. I don't hate that. But it is different for this character and this world. And it kind of left me a little uneven, I think.
It does all the things that, everything it does effectively. But it just, the Nuclear Knight is a character that has been paired up with Geiger because Geiger needs, he doesn't have the kids anymore. So he needs someone to play off of. Alone, Geiger's not that riveting of a guy. It's not Redcoat. So he gets the Nuclear Knight, who, is sort of a sad sack that, just sort of plays the same note consistently throughout this and the prior issue. I just sort of wish that there had been a decision to make the opening salvo for this Geiger ongoing a little hotter, like something really pressing. What does Geiger care about? He cared about his family, but they're dead. So what's his mission now? His mission, I guess, is to, heal himself, not live this way anymore. But why bother?
And doesn't he have cancer? Wouldn't that kill him? Is his goal suicide in a way?
I think he can't. I don't remember, but I feel like he could kill himself if he wanted to. He could just bash his head
human
with a
form,
rock.
yeah.
I don't understand what his mission is in a way that connects me. There's no emotional connection. The most emotional connection is the family. They're gone. The book reminds us. The book shows us, that there's a family that loses the boars. They kill the father, but they leave the rest of the family alive. They sacrifice the dad. It's meant to be the opposite or a similar idea of the way that Geiger's family was kept alive in that vault theoretically, but he was sacrificed. He's the one that stays outside. And then the robber of the town, he is robbing the town for his family. So Jeff Johns is establishing all this synergy, and I like it, and I get all of that. That's all good. But what is the propulsion of this series?
I didn't need, like, I see what you guys are saying, and I think they're good points, but I don't feel like I need it for this story. This was in contention for my pick of the week had it not been for the one hand. And I find that episodic nature of it in this universe just fun for me. And I think I don't need that for this series. I feel I see how it can probably elevate it to another degree, but this just being that almost like TV show-esque moment, I'm more than happy with it, and I'm willing to ride along. Not to, disagree with you guys. This was just pure fun for me.
Feel free to disagree with us. That's what the point is.
Well, no, because I think what you guys are saying makes sense. I don't think it's wrong. Um, it's just that exact flavor that you're describing is exactly the things that I loved about this issue.
You have a One Piece background going on. You like episodic
Word,
stuff.
I do. This is just like, oh, they're in the next town, they're in the next whatever. Like, it has that flow, and I love that it's bookended with the boars and then the family. Loved it. Boom, complete issue. All I need.
That's all. That is all good. That is all good.
It essentially works as a one shot too.
Easy, yeah, and I like that. I like that it's a one shot almost.
I think there's just not enough meat for this issue, even for this episodic nature.
I don't know. It was a pretty fat pig.
Uh,
All right.
we don't know the only thing we learn about this crook is that he's got a family,
Mm.
and that retroactively explains why he's doing what he's doing, which is fine. But we don't get a sense of his personality other than he may be religious, which leans toward Jeff's, talent for, writing dialogue and character, and having that, being able to sense that piece of the character. But there's just like, for that character, there's so little there. Like, I understand that Geiger has to progress. Geiger needs to get this information, but if he wanted, he could just take it. And maybe that's not who he is, but also, like, this grunt work, like, it doesn't feel like there's enough of a reason for Geiger to take this on.
Yeah, I'm still of the mind that Geiger is going to hook me and be very captivating in the future. And I think that right now Jeff is trying to lay some groundwork and things like that. It just feels very far from the stuff that was coming out earlier. When Geiger first launched to now, it just feels very different. So I'm looking forward to whatever's going to come next. And again, like Gary Frank, man, holy shit, dude. This man, how is it that it's now? Like, he's been great for years, obviously, but he's doing the best work of his career now. In my opinion. That's crazy.
I think this indie work is really where people shine. That's
Yeah.
really where you get to see the crazy stuff.
It's theirs, right? Like they're gonna do everything that they can to make it as good as possible.
Yeah.
The creative drive is there, especially monetarily. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And next issue is promising the return of Junkyard Joe, which is super
Junkyard
exciting
Yo.
for me.
Can't wait.
My favorite character out of all of these Ghost Machine titles, so can't wait.
Still waiting on that action figure, Jeff. Make it happen.
Oh, so good.
Cool. I despite what I said, I still think it was good. I just expect, because Geiger was probably my favorite mini that year when that book dropped, so my expectations are super high. And I think it will live up to it ultimately, but we just got to get there.
Yeah, it's still a pull for me, even though I had to readjust my expectations of it.
Big ol' pull.
A yank, would you say?
I might.
Would you call me? Pass for me.
No, but you've never been a fan of
It's
it.
never, you've
Yeah.
never really hit on
This
it.
doesn't do anything for me, anything new for me, nothing know how.
James Jones says Geiger is slamming.
Let's go.
Well, sorry, I disagree. Let's fight about it.
Wow. Listen, don't challenge the listeners to fights.
Oh, okay. Sorry. James, I'm sorry.
You're going to lose some fights like I lost a bet. Can't have that.
Well, listen, I'd rather lose a fight.
I don't know, man. You can catch an ass whooping that's worth a lot more than an omnibus.
Those
Maybe
ER
I'm
bills.
hoping to.
Well, he's got free healthcare there, Sean. So
Yeah, you can take the risk.
Fair enough. Well, speaking of pulling, Tyler pulled a bunch of Blood Hunt books this week. He pulled all 6 of the tie-ins that dropped. So I'm going to turn it over. And Tyler, why don't you give us your thoughts on this week's Blood Hunt tie-ins?
and this will be quick. And preface, I think there were 7. I didn't read Venom. I forgot to read that. I didn't realize that was a tie-in. So I'm sorry. But I'll be quick with these. Pretty much lightning round. Amazing Spider-Man number 49 is the next issue in the Zeb Wells run. This has John Romita on possibly some of the worst art he's done in a while. Has nothing really to do with the main story of Amazing Spider-Man. This is a pass for me. Sorry. Avengers number
But
14.
Well, wait.
Sorry, does it tie into Blood Hunt?
Yeah.
Yeah, and the fact that there's vampires, that's about it.
Okay.
Yeah, very,
Great.
very loose tie-in in anything. It's like, oh, Spider-Man fights vampires. That's the premise of the story. Avengers number 14, Jed McKay continues his run. Because our Avengers that he's been usually running with are in Blood Hunt, this is kind of a B team dealing with some other side vampire stuff. And honestly, this is my favorite of the week. It has Captain America, Kate Bishop, Hercules, and Quicksilver with new Avenger, Hazmat, finally graduating from Avengers Academy to become an Avenger herself. And they're fighting probably a really well-known Captain America vampire villain. Figure that out yourself. It's kind of the last page reveal.
Dracula.
No, that's a separate issue that I'll get to. I thought this was a lot of fun. CF Ville on art. I liked it. Doctor Strange number 15, Jed McKay again with Pascal Ferry on art. Really good. It just continues the Doctor Strange run that I think is fantastic by Jed McKay. And it adds a lot more context to the last scene that we got in Blood Hunt 1. Let's just say, yeah.
So that is my biggest gripe, because in the red band version of Blood Hunt, you see that Doctor Strange gets ripped in half.
There's
no like if, ands, or buts about it. My man is cooked. But in the Doctor Strange issue that's a tie-in, it shows that that's not canon. In canon, he did not get ripped in half. In canon, he only got stabbed.
I
He's
kind
not
of like
dead.
I kind of like how Red Band is almost not canon with how violent it is. It's interesting.
That was so
Yeah.
dumb. That's such a low blow. Don't ask me to pay an extra $1 and then invalidate the events of the book. I paid the extra $1
Yeah.
to see Doctor Strange get eviscerated. They're gonna tell me that didn't happen? It didn't
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah, that threw me for a loop too. That being said, I thought it was a pretty good issue. I really like this Doctor Strange run, and I think Pascal Ferry is phenomenal.
Good art.
Next up, Blood Hunters #1 with a whole host of people on it. This was fine. It's pretty much what you expect from an event book, with 3 individual stories: one about Dagger, one about Hawkeye, and one about Man-Wolf, and what they're doing in Blood Hunt. The Man-Wolf story is by Christos Gage with art by Javier Garron, which I think was probably my favorite of the 3. It was just a Man-Wolf, J. Jonah Jameson romp. And it was a father-son bonding moment, which I liked. Then we had Strange Academy, Blood Hunt #1. I'll hit the creative team on this because it's not the same as it is normally. It's Daniel Jose Older, writing with art by Eric Gapster. If you like Strange Academy, you'll like this. It's pretty lighthearted for what is essentially a really violent story. But it has some fun kid Avenger type stuff. I like it. And then Blood Hunt Dracula, #1 of 3. This is Danny Lore on art, on writing, with Vincenzo Coratu on art. This is Marvel's Buffy. Literally exactly what it is. It's Blade's daughter. She's essentially
yeah.
Buffy. Danny Lore continuing her story with the bloodline. I get Brielle Brooks, Blade's daughter. I actually thought it was a lot of fun. It adds Dracula, which is a very menacing character in the MCU, to this more lighthearted teen character. So there's kind of a weird dynamic going on there. But I thought it was pretty fun. And that's it for this week. I didn't read Venom. If Venom was good, let me know.
Gavin said he almost drew these 3 issues of Strange Academy.
Wow.
He couldn't work it out
Oh,
with the schedule.
Interesting.
Hey,
Interesting.
Whoa.
hey,
Look, if the choice was between, well, I'm not gonna say what I was gonna say. What I will say is I'm very glad that you're working on Birds of Prey.
You give Dracula those half gloves. You got to think about it.
Oh no, no.
Well, Dracula
Damn,
wasn't in that.
Am I into Dracula?
Cale, Kid Darkhold was in that. Okay. Yes, the Darkhold is a child now.
Well, thank you for letting us know what's happening in the Blood Hunt books. We're gonna follow the main event here on the show. Probably not the tie-ins because you guys don't seem to care about them, and neither do we. But please do keep us posted, listeners, if you are reading any tie-ins that you happen to like really enjoy that stand out. Because I would like to know for myself. I didn't buy any of the tie-ins except for Spider-Man because I'm already reading that book. But everything else I said no to. I think. We'll find out in the stack. Which we should get to. We should get to it. All right. Now we know about the 6. We know about the 6 from the week. I actually did something that I don't normally do this week.
Uh-oh. Color in the count again.
Well, maybe not so much. So you guys know that I've been struggling. I've missed some titles these past few weeks. And so to help me out, because I've been having this struggle, I actually last week wrote down all the books that I wanted for this week to make sure that I didn't miss a beat.
So you've been raw dogging this previous to this?
Yeah, I go to the store and I just buy what's there.
What's
You just
there?
look at it and be like, yeah, that's what I wanted. That's what I wanted.
Yep.
That's some trust in yourself that I don't have in myself. So
Well, and if it's all there, and and I don't mean this as like an insult to your taste or whatever, but if it's all the popular stuff, Batman, Spider-Man, Avengers, etc., like, and you're following it all, like, that's not that big a jump.
The funny thing is that the books that I was missing throughout the prior weeks weren't it was Spider-Man that I missed. It was Hulk that I'm missing typical shit. Yeah, get those numbers in, guys. Let me see those numbers. What do you guys think is the count this week? So the way it works is whoever is closest without going over the amount of books that I actually purchased this week wins the game, and you can claim a prize of any of the Marvel books that I bought this week. We didn't review any of them on the show, so they're all fair game. And yeah, you can take your pick. Whoever wins the game here. Aaron Ruiz, go ahead.
Oh yeah, I was going to say, while those numbers come in, Aaron Ruiz says the Venom tie-in was quite good, if anything, for Juan Ferreira's art. So good.
Juan Ferreira did that Brian Hill Killmonger mini, what I remember. Also did some good Green Arrow stuff. So yeah, I'm down for that.
Sure did. Jedi Ty says, I think I'm going to stick with the Jed McKay Blood Hunt tie-ins. I mean, that seems like a fairly safe bet. I think my philosophy whenever I was more tapped into event comics was always buy the main core book and then buy the tie-ins from the same writer who's writing the main book. And then after that, it's like really pick and choose.
Yeah.
I really tend to dislike those issues, like the Spider-Man I just talked about, where it's just one issue that ties in, and then next week we have Blood Hunt Spider-Man happening already. So why did the main series have to tie into it? I think we're getting that with like one of the X books next or in 2 weeks or something like that. So I don't care much for that. The mini series can be hit or miss, but yeah, Avengers of the Moon Knight, and Doctor Strange are probably where you're going to get a lot of the juice from.
And find out what's canon and what's not from the fucking Red Band.
Yeah.
Oh my god, dude.
Yeah, we had who was it? Somebody further up said the Red Band was a secret. It was Rami says the Red Band was a secret. What if? No, it was Justin. Sorry, Red Band was a secret. What if of the Blood Hunt?
Yeah. Right. Exactly. What the hell?
That is wild.
Did you get a certain Boom #1 this week, Sean?
You gotta find out with the rest of us,
maybe
motherfucker.
Ties in with a a band that we both might enjoy. I don't know, maybe.
I don't know, man.
So
Ooh.
we've got Rami on 19. We've got James, current long holding champion, 17. Dan's got 16. Columbo's got 18. Aaron Ruiz has 15. And Jedi Ty has 16.
I'm gonna go 14.
Oh, so low.
I'm gonna do 15. I think Aaron's got it this week.
I'm gonna stick with James. I'm going 17.
It is.
All right, let's do it. So we've got the 6 that we already discussed.
I just saw that thickness. I might be wrong. I saw the girth
Looks-
there.
Looks can be deceiving. They say the camera, adds some thickness. Ain't No Grave, number 1.
Oh, counted that one.
Yep. I decided to pick it up. It's Scotty Young, George Corona. Don't know what it's about. Doesn't matter.
George
I will
Corona.
read it and probably like it. Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees. This is the finale of this
Yeah.
series. I haven't read it yet, but I can tell you that it is an incredible series and you should absolutely be reading it. I am sure that this is going to be great as it resolves, and I cannot wait to see what Patrick Horvath does next.
Yeah, I read it, and people keep comparing it to Dexter, but spoiler, not a single secret lab in this whole book. I was a little disappointed. So,
Does it differentiate? I mean, it being in a world of animals is already like it feels like Dexter still.
Yeah, it feels like if it has that same vibe, what you expect. I think it transforms itself in other ways. It transforms itself through the allegory, through the fact that these are, anthropomorphized animals, and there's a lot of stuff in there that I think you could pick apart if you are paying attention.
Yeah, sure.
Energon Universe number 1. I literally don't know what this even is,
Oh.
but
Ooh.
I got it. I don't know. And can I also just say that Midtown was selling fucking free comic book day books?
No way.
Absolutely. Now, they weren't selling, so they had Absolute Power, and it wasn't the main cover, but they had all that I saw, I'm not sure if they had any others, they had a sketch cover, and that was going for $5. And then they also had, I forget which other ones they had, but they were for sale. This happens every year. It's so frustrating. I almost bought that fucker.
they're the villains. I'm sorry. Every time you
This
talk
year- yeah,
about them, I never.
This your
like
comic
it.
book shop, Sean?
Sure
Come on.
is.
Hydro Comics.
Hey, look, I very rarely have to worry about. Look, I've never had a pre-order. I've never had a pull list. I very rarely have to worry about not being able to get a book. That's why I go to Midtown, and it's convenient for me. Izzy says I didn't realize. Okay, Izzy says 13. Let's say Sean held himself accountable and go with 13. Okay,
Uh-oh.
we shall see. The Boy Wonder, number 1.
Cool.
Ooh.
Very
Yep.
good. Very good.
Yeah, I did read that. Had a great time.
The Sacrificers, number 8.
I hear you like that book,
course.
Sean.
I love it. So good. The Deviant, number 5.
This was at 12.
I'm out.
Oh boy. Captain America, number 9. I love this
Ooh.
cover.
Didn't count that one.
Is anyone reading that? I'm curious.
Sean's buying
Ask
it.
me.
I know not to ask if you're reading it, but I'm curious if the chat's reading that because I tried and I could not get into that.
I don't know. I think we should keep asking Sean if he's reading them. That bit never gets old to me. I'll laugh at that joke every time.
Fantastic Four, number 20.
Ooh, good. Good, you think?
Well, I think I might have possibly read the first issue.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
That's all? It's the best Fantastic Four run in a long ass time.
Take your word for it, I guess.
Wouldn't know.
yeah.
Amazing Spider-Man 49.
Yep.
Based on Tyler's review, it probably won't reach the top of my stack, but here we are. Incredible Hulk, number 12. This was a book that I missed last week, so I had to make good on that. Wolverine 49.
Ooh,
I didn't think
come
you'd
on.
pick it up.
One issue away from the grand finale. We'll definitely be talking about that.
I gotta catch up.
Jetty Ty said the Energon book is the free comic book day book, but with the price. Yikes!
Are you fucking kidding me?
It was
Yo,
number
he got
one,
got,
though.
bro.
Are you kidding me? Did I really fucking pay?
It's not. It is a separate book, Sean. I looked it up. The free comic book day one is a Ryan Otley drawn. I have that one. It's drawn by Ryan. Do you have it? Do you bring up the Energon book? Is it drawn by Ryan Otley? The Transformers bits? I'm pretty sure you'd be able to recognize it pretty instantaneously. Is a lot of Megatron and Optimus?
This is the cover.
Open it up real quick. I know you don't want to spoil it for yourself, but I'm curious. I think that's the free comic book day story.
Okay, yeah, that's yeah.
I know that special has G.I. Joe in it as well and Void Rival stuff, so maybe it's
this has G.I. Joe and Void Rivals.
Yeah,
that
and
the
the
free
special new
comic book day one
printing.
doesn't have that. So
Yeah, that's
I
the
guess
free
you get a
comic
little
book day
extra.
one.
Bro.
That's crazy.
Man,
Man, Sean's dropping
you might have to
Transformers
go
now.
in there.
What the fuck? I didn't even care about this. I didn't even care about it. I bought it
Yeah.
because I was like, well, all right, Energon Universe, let's go. Yippee. I didn't realize I was getting fucking played.
Man.
Although it's being sold on image.com.
Yeah, it's a separate book. I think the G.I. Joe and the Void Rival stuff is new because that was not in the free comic book day thing. Free comic book day, I think, was just Transformers.
It says featuring 3 all-new stories for the Energon universe. So in addition to whatever you probably had in the free comic book day, there's 3 stories on top of it that you're probably paying for then.
That's shady. That's shady all the way around. I'm not crazy about
I
that.
don't love it. X-Men Forever #3, of course.
I'm out.
Yeah. Well, the audience didn't. Well, they didn't vote for it, so maybe they're out too. But I'm not out until it's over. I can't get out.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm stuck.
The free comic book day one has Void Rivals and G.I. Joe in it as well. So
And the Amory Wars.
there
Number
we
1, Good Apollo on Burning Star 4, Volume 2.
That's what was
I love Coheed and Cambria. I'm a big fan of theirs. Their books are okay. They're not the best, but you know, it is the tales right from the music into the comics. So, you know, I bought it.
Dude, that's the first time I heard Amory Wars said out loud. My entire life I thought it was Armory Wars.
Yeah. Ain't no R.
Yeah, there's no
watched that R.
fucking R. It's so funny.
Is that it?
And that's it.
That's 18, I think.
But that was it? No.
That's a lot.
You might double check that, but I think I got 18.
Yeah. So we've got 6 that we did, 7, 8,
Yeah.
9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19.
19.
Oh, yeah, 19. Okay, so I didn't miss one.
Woo.
19. Ooh,
God
somebody had
damn.
19.
What happened?
Rami, 19.
There it is.
With a bullet.
Rami Darwish.
Rami nailing it. Hey, congratulations on another win, because I'm pretty sure Rami has won before. And if you want, I think last time you won, you kind of didn't care about it. So if that stands, then that's okay. But if you do, then the books that you can choose from are Fantastic Four, Cap, Amazing Spider-Man, Hulk, Wolverine, and X-Men Forever. So those are your choices. And if you want to collect on that, feel free to message me and we can get you taken care of. I bought too many books.
Yeah, the Energon one really screwed you. I'm looking at League of Comic Geeks.
You
and
bought
guy's
one
like-
too many books.
One guy was like, "Is this straight up just a reprint of Free Comic Book Day special for anyone who missed it?" And the replies were, "Yep, for $4. Yep."
Damn.
I don't like that.
So that's
dude.
Image straight up screwed people.
Probably
Yeah.
more of a Skybound thing, but yeah.
Well, I mean, they're a division of Image. Like, Image will also make that decision.
I'm so annoyed by that. I'm so annoyed. For all that, if I knew that I was going to spend money this week on a free comic book day issue, if I knew that, then I would have bought Absolute Power. Why would the book that I buy be the Energon one? I didn't want to buy that book. It's not that I don't like those stories, but I didn't want to buy that.
the solicit says it's a special new printing of the free comic book day special. So you got a special one, Sean,
What's special about it?
that you
Well,
paid
it's
money.
like, yeah,
That
It's especially
sucks.
stupid that they did this.
Yeah,
and I'm
that
annoyed.
sucks.
I don't love
Man,
that. I don't love it.
It is Ryan Otley drawing Megatron though, so
That's sick. That's sick. Get him on the main book. Pay him. Pay him.
well, they are. They're making you pay him.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Izzy says that's what they did with the free comic book day Ranger Academy book last year. Issue number 1 ended up being a reprint of it with 3 extra pages. Ooh, that's a
Brutal.
quite a
Brutal.
bit of a. I don't know. It's hard to say. That's a ripoff.
Cool.
I don't want to go that far.
Columbo, can't you feel the specialness?
Oh yeah. I feel something special, all right.
is it scratch and sniff? Anything?
No. Unfortunately not.
Ooh, that was one of the issues I gave away, Tyler, at the brewery. It was a scratch and sniff Harley Quinn issue.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah.
So next week on the show, we've got some pretty hot books, I would say, to talk about. So next week, we're going to be getting into the hotly anticipated Doom #1 from Hickman and
The
I
one
think
shot,
Sanford Green,
yeah.
right?
Let's go.
Yeah. Okay.
So we got that leading the charge. Ultimate X-Men #3, Action Comics 1065, and Redcoat #2. And of course, whatever wins the listener pick poll.
Can't wait for Doom to be my pick of the week.
Calling it now.
Calling it now.
And I'm not going to say, I will not say next week that I am done with Ultimate X-Men. I will not say those words. I already said it twice. I won't say it again. We'll review the book.
I'm excited for
That's
that.
right. Maybe I'll say
If you say it, I might agree, but I'm not going to say it.
it.
So we've got some good stuff coming up on Thursday, next Thursday on Pals Pulls. This week on the main show, Dan Buckley, who is the president of Marvel Comics, had a lot to say between his keynote speech at Comics Pro
Yup.
and a follow-up interview with ICV2. Bombshells dropped about the future of Marvel Comics and the way that Marvel sees itself factoring into the future of the comic book industry. I have a lot of thoughts about what Dan Buckley said, and I do not think you're going to want to miss out on the conversation that we're going to have about what he had to say. And we've got a lot more fun stuff planned. It is, you know the drill. You know what we do on Saturdays. It's always a blast. Come hang out with us live Saturday at 10:15 a.m. Eastern. Really, really hope to see you guys there. Thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight. For the rest of the pals, I am Sean. Cale wants to say something, so I will stop.
Don't forget about Wednesday.
Yes, Wednesday, we'll be speaking with Joshua Williamson at 6 p.m. Eastern. Don't miss out on that. For the rest of the guys, I am Sean saying